Welcome to the Knowledgebase Ninjas podcast, where Gauri Ramkumar of Document 360 finds the best SaaS self-service knowledge bases in the world and then interviews their creators. Let's get started with today's episode.
Good day, everyone. Our guest today is Abrar Syed, Senior Technical Writer at Equiniti India. Hi, Abrar. Welcome to the Knowledgebase Ninjas podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good, Abrar. Thank you for asking. So please explain to us a little bit more about yourself and how did you initially got into documentation?
Getting into documentation was not a planned one. When I started my career in Tata Consultancy Services, I was asked to join a project called Bank of America, under which a documentation requirement was given to me. And it was the first time that I came to know that there was a designation called tech writer, or as we know it as technical writer. Mm-hmm. And when I did that, I knew that this is what I wanted to stick to. And it's been almost 9 years since this incident happened, and I just became a part of technical communication.
All right. That's very interesting. So when did this happen, Abrar?
This was back in 2011.
2011. So almost 9 years now into documentation field. Fantastic. Nice to know. So what's your documentation process at your current company, Equiniti, and who do you normally involve in it?
See, the documentation process is very straightforward DDLC, as we know it as document development lifecycle, just like how software developers have SDLC. You start off with acquiring the target audience knowledge. You start with a template design, get it approved by your line managers. But the issue is most of the writers, I wouldn't say most, but 50% of the writers, they work as individual contributors. I am a part of that group. So it is very difficult to align a process. You have to design it, explain it to the stakeholders that this is how we want the documentation process to follow to attain the quality documentation. And I'm lucky now that I'm being asked to train new writers in my organization. So we follow the simple DDLC, analyze the audience, design the templates, get it approved, start development, get it approved again by the SME, the subject matter expert, and finally get sign off from the product owner or the process owner.
Fantastic. That's nice. So how do you manage this documentation workflow?
We have a end user computing tool for that. It is macro powered tool where we track all our documentation, the ones that are pipelined, the ones that are in progress, and the ones that are published but need maintenance, and the ones that have been rejected or cancelled and hold. So it is all macro based. We don't think a manual management of workflow and version controlling of documentation makes sense in this day of digital world. So we go with our macro based UC tool, and we are really happy with that.
Fantastic. So over this last 9 years of you writing various documentations, what are the important factors you consider when creating documentation?
See, there has been a huge change in this 9 years in the way of documentation medium. Initially, we just used to stick to text documentation, and this doesn't work anymore. And when you talk about the factors to be considered, it all depends on the target audience again, whether it is an internal audience that is going to read your document or it is going to be an external customer that reads your document. So if you get these two factors right, who am I writing to? The impact of that follows, and then you decide whether the accuracy is the most important thing or it is the design and the outlook of the document that actually makes you sell your documentation.
Mm-hmm. Understand. So what's your team size, Abrar, if I can ask you?
Yes, I was, like I said before, I was individual contributor working as a lone writer, but now I have one more. So we are just 2 writers in the organization, and we are the first ones here. So yeah, that's our strength, 2 writers.
Fantastic. And who do you report to?
That's an interesting question because it's been almost 3.5 years since my current organization I've been working for, and I have worked with 6 different teams. And when I work with each individual team, my line reporting changes. But ultimately, it is the managing director who gets to monitor me.
Great. Nice to know. So is your documentation publicly available, or do you need your users or customers to log in to access the contents?
That is a latter one because I work for financial services company. So there is no question of a public availability. It is all internal. We give it to the banks. So it contains sensitive data.
Absolutely. So have you seen any kind of reduction in workload since introducing quality, good documentation to the process?
The word quality here is in question because instead of quality, I would like to replace it with the medium. Initially, when we used to submit general documents like text-based documents, user manuals, or SOPs, or short how-to guides, the questions were considerably low. They were used to able to understand this and their questions were answered. But when we changed from text to video documentation, where we record the product itself, the working of the product, the instructions in live mode, when the customers see that, when the customers see the video and they execute the actions explained, they have almost like 99% of their questions are disappeared and they have none to ask us. So this is a huge magnitude of change that we have seen. The video documentation, wherever possible, needs to be implemented and it reduces a user's questions to almost zero.
Mm-hmm. Nice, very nice, Abrar. So I think I was meaning to ask you if you're generating any organic search traffic from your knowledge base, but since yours is a private documentation, I'm guessing this will not be applicable, right?
You are absolutely correct in saying that.
Yeah, all right, super. So before we move on to the rapid fire round, is there anything else you would like to add in this general section?
No, nothing. I think I covered most of the questions with the knowledge I have, with the limited knowledge I have.
Absolutely. No, I think 9 years of experience is a lot to share. So fantastic. So let's go on to the rapid fire round. Who have you learned the most about documentation from in your career?
It would be wrong to take a human's name because that's not true. I have learned most of my documentation knowledge from an organization called STC. It is available in India too. It stands for Society for Technical Documentation. Society for Technical Communication. STC is a huge organization in the world and the oldest one for technical communicators. So it would be an organization where I have learned rather than a single person.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, we have learned quite a lot about STC, and we do have some of our guests who are already very active in STC too.
Absolutely. When you talk to writers, you will find definitely some of them, at least 3 out of 10 who are part of STC.
Yeah, super. So any documentation related resources you have consumed recently that you can share with the audience today?
Yeah, I'm currently actually preparing myself for a certification in technical communication called CPTC. There is a book, good book written by Richard Johnson called Technical Communication Today. So that would be a very good knowledge source as a basis of foundation for technical communication.
Super. What is that one piece of documentation related advice you would like to give to your 20-year-old self?
20-year-old self. Okay. I think I would definitely tell myself not to stick to a single industry. The mistake that I made was just sticking to software industry and software products. I think writers, if they can explore medical writing, aerospace writing, and increase their scope of fields, their opportunities will increase in a different way. So yeah, multiple domains.
Just go wide, explore as many different industries as you can.
Absolutely. And writers generally think that learning tools and applications is an important thing. And I don't agree with that. I think learning concepts is more important than learning tools. Tools you can learn in a week or a month, but concepts are more important than applications or tools.
Absolutely. Very well said, Abrar. So I think we're almost to the end of our podcast. Any last bits of tips and tricks you would like to share that you have experienced?
No, I think the tips I included was the last question. I haven't reached the expertise guru section of technical writers, so I would like to refrain from this question.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Abrar. It was a pleasure talking to you today. And I know you are going to explore quite a lot in the upcoming projects. And as you very well said, just don't restrain yourself to one space. Go explore. This is the time for you to learn.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So have a great day and take care and stay safe.
Thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Knowledgebase Ninjas podcast. Please head to iTunes, rate, and provide honest feedback on the podcast. See you next week.